My lips are dry.
You want some lip gloss?
I put on chapstick, but I think I'm just getting to that scene. And like my biggest insecurity is the dry lips. I hate dry lips. And if I see other people's dry lips, I call it out.
Doesn't it make you want to like peel off the skin?
Ew, what? No, I just want to give them Vaseline or like some type of chapstick.
Did we check the focus today?
Yeah, the focus is good.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome back, guys, to the Cousin
Connection podcast. Why'd you say like that?
I almost forgot what the intro was for a second.
That was me last week.
What?
I actually forgot the intro.
But we did it fine.
Because of my brain.
Caught on real quick?
Yeah. Oh my God, actually, I have something to say.
What?
So I went into the office.
Tell me, Sara.
What was that?
I don't know. Tell me, Sara.
I had to go into the office.
1 second, I kicked out my headphones again.
I had a feeling. I had to go into the office 4 times last week. My only day home was Tuesday, which is like a whatever day. Like I don't even mind being in the office on that day. Yeah. But like by Thursday, by Friday, I was like, I don't know how we used to do 5 days a week. And for those of you that actually have to go into work 5 days a week or more, I sincerely, like my heart truly goes out to you because I was exhausted and I was in my bed by like 9:45 at the latest. 9:30 if it was like, or 9 o'clock regularly. But like if it was late and I was trying to push it, 9:45 I was already in bed and I was like, damn.
9:45? Why are we going to sleep so early?
Because I wake up at 5.
Oh, you need your full 8 hours? Ew, if I had to wake up at 5.
First of all.
11 o'clock.
First of all, why are you judging?
Okay.
Why are you judging? And you know what's crazy?
What?
I don't even have to drive myself to work. I get rides to work.
You get rides to work too?
Yeah, so I sleep on the drive to
I was actually about to make a copy. I was like, yeah, and she has to drive all the way there or she has to take the subway all the way there too, guys. No. But no, you're literally getting like a chauffeur.
I actually have not been on the TTC and I don't remember maybe like 2 years.
2 years?
I avoid it like the plague.
Damn, we gotta say this with a posh accent. I do not even touch the TTC anymore.
The TTC is cool. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, the TTC is it's terrifying. And they got rid of the express. Like, so I don't live okay, I'm not gonna say where I live.
She lives,
but I don't live near a subway station, so I have to take a bus to get to the nearest subway station. And then on top of that, it used to be like an express bus that would at least take me to like the TTC subway station. Yeah. They canceled that one.
What? Wait.
They canceled that
because they used to have the train at the Scarborough Town area or something like that.
The RT?
The RT.
Yeah, it's non-existent anymore.
It's non-existent anymore, right?
But before they even got rid of that, there was an express that would take me like to Kennedy. And that's how far east I live. Yeah. But they got rid of that express bus.
No, the fact that like our TTC or our public, what do they call it? Public transportation has gotten worse instead of better over time. Yeah. Like you think that these things would progressively get better over time. Like, okay, it was bad at one point. It gets better over time. It actually progressively gets worse.
But like, let me tell you, okay? So was it Thursday night or was it Wednesday night? See, the days are all blurring together. It was either Wednesday or Thursday night. It was raining and I had to stay late at work. So it's not only am I going into work every day, but I had to stay late, which is like just like double homicide type of situation,
Yeah, double homicide.
So I'm leaving. It's like 6:30. It's pitch black. It's raining. I'm just like, it's going to be an annoying commute home. Whatever. I take the GO train. It's going to be 30 minutes to Scarborough, and then I can get a ride from home from the station. Yeah. So I leave the office with my coworker. And she's like, oh, I drove in today. And I was like, oh, okay, like, cool. We don't even live, like, she literally lives in Hamilton. So, like, opposite directions. Yeah. Right? She's like, you know what? I'll just drive you to Union then. So you don't have to walk in the rain. And I was like, oh, I was going to take the path. But, like, thanks. That's nice of you.
The path is a place that under all the buildings. If you don't know, if you're not from Toronto.
Yeah. For those of you that aren't from Toronto, we have something called the path where it's like.
It's basically like a whole city underground.
That makes it sound kind of scary though.
It does, because it's like a dead city, a ghost city now, because it used to be all these stores and it'd be open, but now like all of them are a lot of them are closed.
No, okay, during the week, business hours, it's like popping.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, think about it like an underground mall, but also path that goes throughout the whole city.
Yeah. Well,
or main downtown area. Yeah.
So I was going to just take the underground path. And she's like, oh, don't worry, like 2 seconds to get to Union from where I work, right? So I was like, okay, fine. So we get to the car, whatever. We pull out of the thing. Yeah. And she's like, should I take this street or this street? They both have construction. So we were like, which one has less construction? Yeah. So we opted for the other one. So we were driving down Adelaide. Obviously, the road is now closed. So we're like, okay, detour. Yeah. So we're turning. And then
no every GPS time, at any point?
So at first, no, because she's like, oh, I'll just be able to turn on the next street, as you normally would assume downtown, right? Then every single one was closed. So she's like, turn on the GPS. I was like, okay. So I put in the GPS. You know where I work, right? Yeah. So imagine from there to Union. And at this point, I think we had gone down.
Yeah, that's like a 5-minute walk, no?
Yeah. Max 10. Like if it's really busy. But around there, the GPS literally said 30 minutes to Union.
30 minutes?
Yeah, 30. I was like, I'm getting out of the car. I'm just going to walk like 30 minutes. Yeah. So she's like, no.
Which kind of sucks because she took you further away.
That's the thing. So she's like, but you're further away and it's raining. Like it was heavy rain too. Yeah. So I'm like, whatever, man. I'm just going to take the L. I don't have an umbrella. It's fine. I'm going home. She's like, no. Don't worry. I'll turn back around. Yeah. I'm not even so we're following the GPS to try and like find an alternate route. It literally said, like, it put a big X and said, no more alternate routes available. And it just stopped. Like, it literally just turned off.
Your GPS, like, figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. I can't help you.
You're on your own.
We were like, what?
I don't think I've ever seen that. That shows you how bad the construction is on these streets.
It's disgusting.
It's so bad. Even the GPSs are giving up.
But then she's like, put in your address. I'm like, you're literally not driving me home. Like, yeah, you live in Hamilton. Yeah. And I'm on the basically border of Toronto. So she's like, no, well, I guess we're on opposite ends of Toronto. She's like, no, it's okay. Let's just see how far it is. It was at 52 minutes. She was like, what's 20 more minutes?
No, she didn't.
So I was like, no, like I my heart couldn't. I genuinely couldn't accept it. Yeah. And she's like, honestly, at this point, like you're so far from Union that by the time we get to Union, I'll get to your house faster. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to pay for your gas and your time then. So now we're getting on to the DVP. The DVP was like packed, but it was moving at least. So the time got lesser and lesser. But then I'm like, you know what? What's your address? Let me look up how far it is from my house. At first, it said 1 hour and 37 minutes. And I was like, you sure you want to do
That's
this?
From your house or from where you guys were?
From my house, which doesn't factor in the 52 minutes that we're going to take to get to my house. So then when we finally make it to my house in less than 52 minutes, we got there in like 45.
Why didn't you just tell her to like take you to like the GO station at Scarborough?
Because she was like, if I'm going to drive to Scarborough, I'm going to just drive you home. Yeah. So we make it to my house and I look it up again and I'm like, okay, let's just see how far your house is. And it said 1 hour and 14. So I felt a little bit like better. Yeah. You know? And then I made it home in one piece. She got home before 8 and I was like, okay.
Still, man.
Like, I know. And I was like,
what's her background?
She's Italian.
She's Italian?
Yeah.
Maybe it's that Mediterranean, you know. That I don't know that they got a little bit of that Arab spirit in them because, you know, they're so close.
No. She really is. Like she treats me like family. She always brings me baked goods from her mom. Yeah. And her mom, it's like, you know, when you have like those really good, she makes these oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to make her listen to this episode. She already follows us and supports us too, but she's going to be really happy. So Jord, if you're listening to this.
A Norwegian person would never, okay?
A
European would never, like...
Well, she's Italian.
No, I mean, like, you know, the northern part. Because you hear about what they do, right?
What do they do?
Like, they're so bad where essentially if you go to someone's house for dinner, they expect you to pay for, like, everybody to split up dinner. Like you went to a restaurant.
I'm sorry, what?
That's the thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah, they're like, okay, this is how much the ingredients were, and they split that up.
Don't lie. You know?
And then, like, let's say...
I'm never going to... Why would you invite me then if you're going to make me pay? I might as well just go out to eat.
That's their culture. And also, I know another part of their culture, like, let's say, you know how when you go to a kid's house or your friend's house and your kids? Yeah. You're playing at the house and, like, it's time for dinner. Yeah. Usually the family will be like, hey, kids, okay, let's come down, let's eat dinner, whatever. The kid who's visiting the house will stay in his friend's room while the kid goes downstairs to eat with the family. And they're not allowed to feed them. Well, they don't feed them, I mean. Not that they're not allowed, but they don't feed them.
That can't be true.
It's true. Culturally, I'm sure individuals will be different, but culturally, that's what they do. So like that's what I'm saying. Like those people would never.
That's wild.
Yeah.
No, Joy treats me like family. She always offers to she's like, do you want to come to Hamilton and stay at my house? I'm like, it's so far.
Yeah, the fact that Hamilton now is a regular commute for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy because a lot of people, even in my office.
Oh, almost all of them don't live in Toronto.
Yeah, some of them even further than Hamilton. Like there's a place called, I think it's called Bradford or something. It's like right outside.
No way someone commutes from Bradford.
Yep, every day.
No way.
Every day. They go into the office every day too.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What time do they leave? 4 a.m.?
Probably like 6 o'clock because they start earlier too.
Insane.
Yeah, but people just do that. Like for them, it's a regular thing now. Mm-hmm.
Listen. I understand the whole in-office culture, but like companies better start acting like at least pay for my commute because they're paying like $15 one way just to take the GO train if they're not driving, and if you're driving, you're paying for the insane gas prices that we have. Yeah,
like if people were to factor in how much they're paying for their travel, I think I did it once, and like it can be because I drive really far too. Technically, like if I'm talking about how people are driving from Hamilton and Bradford and stuff, I technically drive the same distance they do because I'm coming from Scarborough and I work in Brampton, which if you don't know is our complete opposite sides of the city. And with traffic, like the timing is crazy. It's because now traffic is completely trash.
What time do you start? 9?
No, 8.
Okay, what time do you have to leave to get there?
7. Or like
only an hour?
Yeah, for me in the morning it takes an hour. Because I leave
you know what though?
Before it gets really bad.
It's also, I'm not going to say which is your highway entrance, but you kind of bypass that initial.
Exactly. Yeah. So
okay, I forgot. In fact, I'm thinking about it from, like, I start, varies on the day. It's between 8 and 9, depending on if I have meetings.
I prefer to start earlier because the fact that I can avoid that. But just going back, I'm always going to hit traffic. Like, it's really, really bad. To the point where sometimes I'll work out in the west to let the traffic kind of die down a little bit before I start driving back.
How long is your drive home?
If it's really bad, it can take like an hour and a half. Yeah. So those people going to Bradford and Hamilton, like, they're honestly just doing the same commute a lot of us are doing, trying to just get across the city. It would be better if you were still driving within the cities. Just traffic is so bad that doesn't really make a difference where you are. So
here's my thing, okay? Yeah. Because recently, I think my algorithm has shifted a little bit on TikTok, where it's showing me a lot of like real estate agents in the GTA area, and it's honestly like it makes me sick to my stomach. I feel I sound like a Toronto girl.
Yo, you're sick to my stomach, fam.
But like, no. Genuinely, like, it actually makes me feel helpless because they'll show like a loft apartment for like $2 million.
Yeah.
Like, are you insane?
I know.
A loft.
Well, a loft is pretty big, no?
You don't got walls and doors, fam.
Is that what it is? No, I thought it's not a studio apartment.
No, a studio is when your bed and your living room and your kitchen are all in one open concept space. Yeah. A loft is where like you'll have the living room, kitchen, whatever, and then you have stairs. And then the upstairs area is your bedroom. But
but it's like a shorter roof or something like that, right?
It's a little shorter, but it's also like there's no door. Like it's just stairs. And
it's like a giant bunk bed.
Yeah. Something like that. Like that.
Yeah, but honestly, like living in the city is no longer. But unless you're renting, is no longer like a feasible option for a regular person. At least
I thought rent was higher though. Rent was higher than purchasing.
No, like purchasing, you're dealing with a lot of other issues. Where, especially if you're getting a condo, you have like the condos fees, you have the parking fees. Same, no, renting is like one straight price. So, well, it depends on where you're renting it from. Some of them like they include, some of them they don't. But when you have a condo, you're purchasing like a lot of, you're not only paying that mortgage, you're paying like a bunch of other things on top of that.
But like, okay,
it can equate to it, but like if you're buying $2 million
loft, okay, it was also like considered a bougie, like have you heard of the brewery
district?
It used to be like a brewery factory, and then it turned into like the studio space for CBC and then now they've turned it into like apartment lofts.
Nah. Well, like I probably know about it, but I just don't know what that was called. What it was called.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure you've seen it, but like even regular apartments or condos, I guess.
But I think that's honestly the same story for every city across North America now.
Okay. The cost, yes.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at the space, like it's under 1,000 square foot. So like the bedrooms are like tiny.
Yeah.
Like, you can fit maybe a twin bed, and that's it.
Yeah, it's very similar to what's going on. Well, what New York has been dealing with a lot of times, but like we don't have the issue here is that we don't have the benefits that New Yorkers have when it comes to living there. Where like you have first off a richer culture because like Toronto's culture and Canada's culture, Toronto's culture in general has been like dying over the past few years.
Agreed.
And you don't have the mobility, not upward mobility, but like in America, if you're living in America, you have the ability to go anywhere else in America that you want for a cheaper price. If you're in Toronto, like if you want to go anywhere else, it's going to cost you minimum like $800 just to go like to the next city over in a plane for some, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anything within the country is 10 times. You can fly from here to France and back twice to get from here to like Vancouver sometimes, depending on when you're buying your ticket.
Not just that, but it's also like America, I feel like, has multiple major cities where if you, for example, were born and raised in a major city, you could probably go, like, obviously the vibes are different.
That's what I mean. You can move to a different place easily.
And here, like, you know, a lot of Torontonians did move from Toronto to like the west, like to Alberta and stuff. And I'm sure you've seen the viral TikTok narrative. Maybe it was an Instagram reel, but like that video of the girl from Edmonton, and she was like venting about Toronto drivers.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Didn't see it. She was saying like, oh, you guys are like whipping in and out of traffic. Like just wait until winter comes. Yeah. Because obviously Alberta winter is completely different than the type of winter that we have here in Toronto. But it's just like unless you're moving for like an insane amount of money due to a new job, like I highly doubt somebody would move from like Toronto to and I don't know, PEI or something. Maybe, I don't know. But
well, now that's a lot of people are doing. They move to like Halifax and PEI and all these smaller places which aren't getting as much of the limelight because before people start focusing on it, the prices don't really go too crazy, right? But also the other thing that I was mentioning was like the upper mobility, where there's a lot more opportunity in America versus here, mainly because of the larger population, and also because there's just a lot more resources over there when it comes to like people you can interact with versus here, where whenever I hear or listen to other podcasts where people are in the entertainment industry in general or in any industry, it's still very controlled by like certain elites, and a lot of those elites are not people of color, so they don't give people who don't look like them as much opportunities depending on their field, especially in the entertainment field. So that's a big issue. So so the fact that our prices are maybe even or equal or even higher than what you can find in New York is kind of crazy. I know we have like the the price difference, or the exchange difference, the converged it, but like still it doesn't really add up.
No, I know. And on top of that, it's like I feel like when you're here in Toronto, it's either you live downtown and you're paying an arm and a leg for rent for a shoebox, or you move out of the like Toronto core, like you're basically on the outskirts or in the GTA, I guess, if you're going to expand it, and then you're paying for it with your commute, whether it's through public transportation or you're driving in. And if you're driving in, you have to deal with the annoying traffic. Yeah,
you have to sacrifice also family time. Like I don't care about driving and traffic and how much that costs, whatever because the cost that it has on your family and taking away time from your family and friends, I think is like
that's so
priceless versus all that other stuff.
Yeah, because imagine like you finish work at 4, but you don't reach home until like 6:30. Like, and then in the winter, you know how it is. The sun sets at 4. Yeah. So it's just darkness from 4:30 onwards for the rest of the night. Like it's just, I don't know. It's a very depressing feeling.
C'est la vie.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
I'm just over it. I'm over the traffic, but I'm also over like the friggin' rush hour commute, like how the trains are always packed. And it's just like,
well, we could do something about it, but people just don't want to do nothing about it. So
we can't physically do anything about it.
You can vote.
Yeah, but have you
remember 37% y'all, and a majority of those people were the people who want to stay in power. Just saying, go out and vote. That was our turnout last time for voting for mayor, and look who we got. You know, and then also for Doug Ford, look who we got. The guy who, this is something else I want to talk, who's literally calling the people who are protesting on the streets like terrorists, and
I saw that.
Yeah, and they're ironically calling the people on the streets who are protesting for Palestine the people who are calling for genocide, when we're literally like it could not, even satire couldn't make this up. Like they're literally calling for a ceasefire to stop a genocide. So the fact that now they're saying that these are the same people who are calling for a genocide, it breaks people's brains. And now they're turning on the phrase, you know, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. So now they're trying to, this is the new, I guess, thing that the media is trying to do, where they're trying to twist it and say like, oh, these people really want a genocide. When they say that statement, they mean they want to kill all the Jews in Israel.
How did they even derive that?
Because they believe that, like, essentially it's projection. They think that if they were to give all the Palestinian people freedom and equality, that they would immediately turn on all the Jewish people and kill them all. It's all projection, because that's exactly what they did to the Palestinian people.
This may be a hot take and potentially may get us demonetized, but the only terrorism I see here, and the only terrorist I see here, is the Israeli government and the U.S. government, and the UK government, and the Canadian government.
Well, it's not really a controversial statement, because it is true.
No, I know, but I'm saying like the powers that be, also run YouTube, the platforms that we're on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just, I think it's not that I stopped being angry. It's just I think I've reached a point now where it's like, it's not the eyes that are blind. It's the hearts that are blind, not the eyes, I think is the saying. But also it's just, at this point, like, yes, obviously we're going to continue to try and call for, convince our governments, which is crazy, like convince our government that what's happening in like occupied Palestine is actually a genocide. But I mean, if they've been ignoring what's happening in Congo, they've been ignoring what's been happening in Sudan, they've been ignoring what's been happening in Syria, and like, do we really think, like, I mean,
the only way, like, I think what people have to realize is the only way that you can really push them to make an actual difference is to start hitting them where it hurts. You know, start voting in the people that support your causes.
Yeah, but you saw what happened to like Sarah Jama.
Yeah, she was what was she called? She was censured. She essentially censored, like she can't say anything.
Yeah, but she was also removed from the party, from the NDP party.
Oh, was she removed completely?
Yeah.
Which is ironic enough, because then didn't the NDP party come out later calling for a ceasefire?
Did they end up calling for a ceasefire?
Yeah, like they put in a motion to like call a ceasefire, and then it was voted down by the parliament. So I don't know. They're always the thing is that they're trying. At the end of the day, they're just gonna go with what they see is popular. So they did that initially because the tides hadn't turned yet, but maybe they're doing that now because they feel like, oh, we want to be on, like, you know, we can grab their votes now. Maybe because the NDP lost a lot of seats recently in the recent elections, so maybe they're trying to see, oh, if we start, which is kind of sad, but is also how politics works these days, unfortunately, is where like they just have to gravitate toward what they think they can get the biggest voter base from. And I think Canada, I don't know how the population breaks down, but maybe there is a significant voting population right now that is in support of a ceasefire and also freeing the Palestinian people. So you might see a lot of politicians coming out soon that are going to try and go for that audience and grab that audience. But at the end of the day, like, they can do all of that, like most politicians have. They make all these promises, but once they get into office, it's the complete opposite, right?
Right.
Like, I think I saw a video where they were talking about how Justin Trudeau was running on like getting clean water to the indigenous people in Canada. He got into the office. He's like, oh, it's really hard, guys. I can't really do this. It's like, what? And then they're giving billions of dollars to other countries. So
all of Canada's wealth and might be another hot take is literally going to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like every other day I'm seeing a post 3.5 million, 5 million, 10 million.
Millions. It's billions, man.
Is it billions that he said? Yeah, we'll billions. See what I mean. Like at this point, like Ukrainians might as well get a Canadian passport because that's where all the tax money is going.
And it's also, speaking of passports, it's ironic how they're saying like the Israeli government, you know, they have a right to do all these things and they're just defending themselves. But when it comes to like the Palestinians who haven't done anything, these are just people who were displaced years ago. They're not even allowed to go back. And like, are you going to really trust the government that doesn't even let the people who originally are from this land even come back into their land and not even willing to give them some type of passport? Because any person from around the world, if you have a Jewish ancestry, you can go to Israel. The moment you step in Israel, you get a passport. Like you become a citizen immediately.
But you know what's crazy though is that because it's been over a month now that you know, and okay, we've said this before, but obviously you guys know like what's been happening on occupied Palestine didn't just start on October 7th. Like it's been happening. I think this is just the most social media coverage it's ever gotten, like ever. Because in the past when we've spoken about this, like even 2 years ago, we were talking about it then. Like the only people who actually post about it were those that have direct ties to Palestine, or they're Muslim, or they're Arab. So, and now it's like you're seeing it on such a massive scale where like random people are posting. Like I'm learning about it from random people who aren't Muslim, they're not Arab, they have no ties to Palestine, they're just coming at it from a humanity standpoint. How many people have, like there was like a book club for the Quran, like I just so like
actually there's like you can even see like people's, I think there's, who's this girl,
Megan Rice.
Like you can see her like path or like her
journey to Islam.
To Islam.
Yep. I literally watched her convert, like say the Shahada on TikTok live.
Yeah, I heard about that was happening, but she said she actually said it like 2 days before that.
Yeah.
But she did it officially on TikTok live with I think one of the sheikhs. I'm not sure.
I don't know what his name was, but I saw it. Yeah.
But there's also another lady who had like history with being Jewish but also Christian.
The black lady?
No, she's like a white Jewish lady from like New York. I think it's from New York.
What's
her
name?
I can't remember. I'm really bad with names.
Oh.
Yeah. Names I'm not bad with are people like Bisan and Mu'taz. And who's the other girl?
I can't pronounce her name. Plestia?
Yeah, Plestia. Those are the people who are on the ground. Unfortunately, we haven't heard a lot from Plestia recently, at least from what I've last checked.
Yeah.
And there was actually a moment where we weren't hearing a lot from Bisan, but fortunately she started posting again, and now she's like, essentially she's a reporter now. Yeah. Because a lot of the press and reporters have either been killed or have evacuated from places like Al-Shifa Hospital, which right now is like in the middle, or not in the middle of Gaza, but it's in West Gaza and is surrounded by Israel troops at this moment. And the thing is, ironically, they're telling them to evacuate, but the moment they try to evacuate, they start shooting at them. So they're kind of trapped in this hospital with a bunch of medical staff. And, you know, they were talking about, the thing is that you know that these people really have no, they think of Palestinian people as subhuman, because there was that whole story initially that came out where they said, oh, they killed 40 babies, right? And then recent story came out where I think it was 39 or 40 babies who were on incubators had passed away because they had no fuel. There's no fuel, no electricity, no nothing, right? They couldn't support them anymore. And then nothing. There was nothing from the people. No reaction at all. No change in what their stances were at all. And that shows how they have no real regard for them. And there's a lot of people who have said inflammatory statements, like Jordan Peterson, or like there was someone in Congress in America who said, like, when someone else was speaking up about the ceasefire and speaking up for Palestinians, they're like, kill them all, you know, destroy them all. And they don't, and people say, oh no, but they mean Hamas. They're speaking about Hamas. They didn't make any caveat when they were saying that. They didn't say, oh, I mean Hamas. They didn't fix their statement afterwards, you know what they're saying. They're literally calling for a genocide. But people try and make excuses for them when they're not making the excuses for themselves. It's ironic, but we have to be strong for them in these cases, right? Because we can't just sit back and be like, oh, it's horrible what's going on. We have to speak out about it by going to protest, but also making
the boycotts.
Yeah, by showing support through where we put our money and who we vote for.
Which the boycott movement, I think it's called the BDS movement. So there have been many different like I know Starbucks is a big one, McDonald's is a big one. Those two corporations are really being targeted the most.
Yeah.
I know Indigo was also being targeted specifically here. And then a lot of like beauty makeup brands. And I think before there was like this outrage because certain celebrities with a lot of power and just like I guess influence weren't speaking up, and so we've already spoken about that before, but then there was like the influencers, like social media influencers, which I've seen in the last week a huge turn of events where a lot of them are now speaking up all of a sudden, and I'm like,
it's because of pressure from their audience.
Yeah, because like imagine like in the last month that all of this was happening, you have influencers who are just posting about their regular day-to-day lives, because if it doesn't directly impact them, like why should they speak up about it? And without fail in their comments, and especially on TikTok more than Instagram, like TikTok, people are ruthless, and I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. But they were literally bullied into speaking up about it. And I think even probably they notice maybe their numbers are going down because people are like, I'm not going to support you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I forgot what his name is. There's this one guy, I think his name is like Adam Rose or something like that. He's a pretty big TikToker. He was called out by another, like he's Latino.
I think I saw this video too, yeah.
He was called out by another Latina influencer who was like, where are all of our Latino supporters? Or sorry, influencers, why aren't they speaking up about this? And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 he puts out a video. Jalen and Monet, which we've spoken about Monet before, they are also two really big influencers, both people of color. And so people are like, why aren't you guys speaking about it? Like you have such a positive influence on people. Like you should speak about it. They just put out videos in the last couple of days. So I'm just like, I guess better late than never. And it's never too late to speak up about genocide.
Yeah.
But if it takes for you to be bullied, literally bullied on the internet in order for you to speak up about what's right, like...
No, I wouldn't tell, because a lot of times they're not informed about what's happening. They just think...
How can they not be informed?
They just think this is... Because timelines look different. I try and be as... You have to be as not forgiving, because I've recently made this change, but you have to be as... what is it when you give someone like you have to give them as much of the benefit as a doubt as you can, because you need the support now, and to chastise someone for being maybe too late to the party at this point is not going to benefit anyone.
It's not that. It's just like, Amir, when we post content, we see our comments.
We see it. They don't see it. Okay.
You're telling me they've gone a whole month with that. I find that like near to impossible.
Okay, it may be near to impossible, but for them, it may not look any different than when they started seeing posts years ago about what's going on in Afghanistan, or what's going on in Yemen, or what's going on in Sudan, or any of those locations. They thought this is all the same because they don't have, like, they see all of this happening, but like they're not going to give it as much interest as when they saw posts about all those other locations I talked about.
But they
think it's all the same.
I'm saying they would see it because literally every celebrity and their mama posted about these 40 non-existent Israeli babies that were beheaded. Yeah. So you're telling me they had no clue. They definitely did. I'm sure they knew something was going on, but it didn't directly impact them. So they didn't pay it any mind. But then eventually when their comments are being flooded with the Palestinian flag and people are like, how could you be doing this? Eventually they're like, let me look into this real quick. And the Adam Rose guy straight up said, you know what? I'm not educated in this. I don't even know what this is about. I had to go and do my research and watch videos and read up about it to even know what was going on. And a simple research for him made him want to support Palestine. Yeah. So like I'm not necessarily
I'm good with all that. For me it's like let's not even say let's not like make them feel bad.
I'm not shaming them.
Yeah, let's not shame them for the fact that they were late to the party, because like I don't know, everybody's journey is different when it comes to finding out about this.
No, I know, and that's why I said it's better late than never. But it's just that. But then I'm still side eyeing the other celebrities that.
Oh yeah, side eye the other celebrities that aren't. But like
someone like Selena Gomez.
Side eye them in that like, hey, like let's pressure them. Not side eye them, but pressure them.
No, I'm side eyeing. Okay, someone like Selena Gomez who. She has volunteered a lot for like, you know, the event called We Day.
Okay, yeah. If it's someone who's has a history.
Yeah, she literally brands herself as a humanitarian.
Yeah, if there's someone has a history of being a humanitarian and completely acts blind to this whole situation, that's when I feel like they should be truly, maybe even have some chastisement for what they are doing.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
When she initially... So she signed Amy Schumer's like petition or whatever, right, in support of Israel. Even though in the past, she actually did make a whole Instagram post about supporting Palestine, like years ago.
Yeah.
So she signs Amy Schumer's thing. People are outraged by it.
Yeah.
And they're like commenting on all her stuff. And so she basically says like, "Oh, this is too much for me," and takes a social media break. People are like, why are you personalizing this? How are you going to take a genocide in Palestine and make it about you? Like, that's so wild, right? So then she comes back and tries to put out like a blanket statement about, I support Israel and Palestine type. Like, you can't do that. So then people attack her again, and she's like, I'm done on the internet. Yeah. Just disappears again. But then her brand, Rare Beauty, the makeup brand, here's the controversial part, okay? She puts out the brand page.
Oh, that's her brand?
Rare Beauty?
Yeah.
You saw what happened with that?
Yeah.
So she puts out the post about supporting Palestine, then puts in the charity that literally is part of the IDF or supports the IDF.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw it followed the IDF. I don't know if it supported it. Did it support it?
They definitely support it, yeah. But I was just like, how? Like.
Well, that's also... When someone shows you who they are, I think that's where also we should start shifting our focus on who we influence, right? It's the same way as voting. Nowadays, even who you follow is a form of voting because you're giving that person some type of credibility and some type of more influence. Yeah. So we should start following people more like Bisan or Mutaz, like those guys who give us what's on the ground, but also the people who have been from day one supporting and calling out what's going on in Palestine currently, right? Yeah. So, and I think someone talked about it, like, they're like, yeah, a lot of these influencers are stupid. They're dumb. They didn't reach where they are off of their intelligence. They had a talent, and anyone can have a talent.
Right, and look,
and they got a good manager. The manager is the person who's giving them all these opportunities.
There are two sides to that argument, right? Because there are those that are like, why are you guys like so thirsty for influencers to speak out about these things versus like, well, why aren't they speaking up about it? I think the reason why people want influencers to speak up is exactly why, because their title, they are influencers. Yeah, they have an influence clearly because that's how they got their platform. You know what I mean? So why wouldn't you speak up about it?
Yeah. So as we're looking to them to speak out about it, we should start building up other people who maybe don't 100%. Have as much of an influence into a place where they can kind of start replacing these roles, right? Or these people, right. Because even though like the pool of influencers is very large, like if you could start shifting who's involved in that pool or who's part of that pool, then you can start shifting the focus on like because advertisers can only stop saying we're going to support these influencers because they are speaking out about Palestine for so long before they start realizing that like they have no one to show off their products to them.
Yeah, that, and also like the point that I was trying to make earlier about the boycotting was like it clearly is working. And it's not just limited to like the Muslim dollar anymore, because this is beyond just Muslims and Arabs. Like everyone is really hopping onto this boycott train. I don't know if they're doing it because it's like the cool thing to do or not. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, I guess just being more conscious about where your dollar is going and knowing where, like, and the thing is like, it's not like Starbucks just started supporting the idea. It's not like McDonald's just started, you know what I mean? Like these were things that have been happening all along. But I think maybe I think now there's like this emphasis of like, let's let's actually get them where it hurts, stop their income, and then they'll have no choice but to rethink their business strategy or where their money is going, you know?
And also, one thing to mention about the boycotts is that the BDS movement, which is the one who kind of organizes all of this, it's important to actually, I think someone pointed this out where they're like, it's cool that we're all like boycotting these businesses that have a history of maybe supporting Israel, but we should go to the actual BDS site, and they have a list of like, these are the main companies we should be boycotting right now. These are the ones we really want to make a change with. I think it says like Siemens and HP and so like some oil companies. It's a bunch of like larger companies that maybe we don't deal with on a day-to-day. Maybe that's why it felt like we couldn't really boycott those, because it's like we don't use those to begin with.
Right.
But then like there are subcategories on like which food places and all that. And I think Starbucks and McDonald's aren't really mentioned in there.
They're not actually on it, but those ones were the ones that are heavily being targeted right now, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, so it is still showing that we can make a difference, but that focus should eventually start shifting to the ones that feel like the ones that BDS at least feels like they can make the biggest difference with.
You know which one broke my heart?
Which one?
Amazon.
Oh, see? So like that's a big one.
Yeah.
I think Disney was on the list or something like that too.
Disney's on there too, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one thing. And also I wanted to give like the latest updates on what's going on. So when it comes to, let's go back actually to October 7th, because there's a lot of updates that have been coming out. Before
we do that, I think we should just take a really quick break.
So I wanted to give like the latest updates on what's going on, and I wanted to go back to October 7th because that's essentially what the main catalyst for all of this is going on. And there's been a lot of like what we expected from the beginning. There's been a lot of propaganda that's been spread from this event, and now we're realizing that it's almost a complete opposite of what they initially reported it to be. So I think they reported that like 1,400 people were killed initially. And they found out that 2/3 of those were like soldiers to begin with. So this was mainly a fight between soldiers. And then the Israeli government themselves admitted that they started destroying their own buildings because they couldn't differentiate between like Hamas soldiers and civilians. And they didn't want to let them gain any ground, so they purposely killed their own civilians.
I feel like their tactic is like literally shooting in the dark.
Yeah,
just like, I'm just gonna get somebody.
Yeah, they're like, there might be a bad person here. Let's just bomb the whole area. And then there was a festival that they said like 260 people were killed by Hamas soldiers. It turns out that there was actually an Israeli Apache helicopter that was indiscriminately shooting at the concert goers and who they thought were Hamas fighters, because they said they couldn't differentiate between who was the concert goers and who were the Hamas fighters. So they started just shooting, and they actually ended up killing their own civilians. So I'm not saying that Hamas didn't kill anyone, but it's clear, and also from the first-hand accounts of the people who were at the raid and who the hostages themselves, they said that like a majority of the times the Hamas soldiers or the fighters, they weren't looking for civilians to kill. They were looking for police or the IDF. I think the IDF is the police or something, or military men. They were trying to fight the military, the people who had the weapons too. So this wasn't like a civilian versus Hamas thing.
Right.
Also, they tried to twist this and say that this is a war between Hamas and the Israeli government. And when you look at the numbers, first off, at this point, it's like 11,000 people have been killed. 11,000 civilians have been killed. And you can try and say, okay, like, yeah, but like how many of those people were Hamas soldiers? So people broke it down. They're like 4,000 to 5,000 of those people killed are children, people under the age of 18. And then 3,000 to 4,000 of those people were women and elderly people. So you're already like, unless you got babies out here with guns and pregnant women, let's say all those people were just innocent civilians. And even with the people who are left over, I think which is like 3,000 men, like how many of those men, that if you're even assuming that every single one of those men were Hamas soldiers. That's 3,000 versus like what's the ratio there of people killed, right?
Right.
And of course, a lot of the majority of those men were regular innocent civilians.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go onto the Israeli side, if you count even the 1,400 people, well, actually, let's not count the 1,400 people. If you don't count the people, the soldiers that were killed, you just kill count the civilians. I think it's like 200 or something like that, 260 to 300. And then guess how many civilians have been killed since then, since October 7th?
I honestly don't know.
None. There's been 34 IDF soldiers that have been killed since then. And those are most likely the people who were trying to invade in Gaza. So, like, the numbers aren't adding up here, people. Okay?
At the end of the day, like...
It's very clear what's going on, but there's no one's going to listen because there's no money in that.
That, but also, like, even the Jewish people who are in Israel who are realizing, like, what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm. Because
here's the thing, right? Like, Zionists are not, like, they don't equate to Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't go hand in hand. So a lot of Jewish people that are seeing this happening are like, what are you, like, this is not right. And so they are starting to speak up about it, but they're either killed or jailed.
Yeah.
Or tortured somehow in Israel. And then outside of Israel, I don't know about outside of Israel. Let me not make that up.
But that's
like,
also not outside of Israel, but like also the one part I forgot to mention is that this is all going on in Gaza and the West Bank alone. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. I think 5,000 plus men, maybe even women and children, have been arrested by the Israeli government. And to the point where, like, there are women being arrested for liking a post on social media.
Too. Yep.
And, like, showing their heartbreak for their people. They're being arrested for that. So and there's no Hamas there. So what's your argument there? Okay? It's very clear what's going on here, but there's still, of course, unfortunately, influencers out there who are supporting this. But what were you saying? Sorry.
It's just, it's, a lot of this is just very eye-opening to have something be spelled out so clear to us now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
And people still are blind to the truth. I think this was all the wake-up call that everyone needed.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's making people go back as well, right? Because there are, like, how many wars? The Afghanistan war, the Iraq war. We already knew a lot of those were false wars built on lies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more clear how much they were able to influence people's thoughts when it came to supporting these things.
Don't you remember?
Just by making them blind to what's actually going on.
There's that one conspiracy theory that Bush did 9/11. Like, I still stand by it. Mm-hmm. And literally, we got a DM the other day. Someone's like, can you guys please talk about conspiracy theories? I think that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
We'll do one and do our research and, like, come prepared. But, like, that's a big one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, like, the people in power...
Mm-hmm.
I saw this quote. It's something like, those that have that much power and that much wealth are not, and we actually had this conversation like a couple episodes ago about, like, does
money corrupt?
Yeah, like, someone was saying, like, people with that much power and that much wealth are not good people. Like, they got to their position because they've exploited somebody or blackmailed somebody or have something on someone. And so it's like, why are you expecting, you know, someone as big as, like, Taylor Swift, for example, to speak up against what's been happening? Ironically enough, she hasn't said anything, by the way.
Yeah, but the ironic thing about Taylor Swift is that there's actually recently in Argentina, there's a election going on where you have one guy who's essentially like the Trump of Argentina. I think I actually wrote it down here. His name is Javier Milei. He's essentially the Trump. He's like a super far right guy. On the political spectrum, at least he's like against pretty much everything that Trump was against. And on the other side, you have basically like your regular liberal democratic person, right? So a lot of these Swifties actually, because of all the stuff he's saying, like he's like anti like abortion and like a lot of these social political things that get young people moving a lot of times, they actually built a whole movement to vote for Massa, who's the second guy. His name was Sergio Massa, to vote for Sergio Massa instead, without Taylor Swift saying anything. Just because they're all fans of the Taylor Swift and like they know that she supports a certain like ideology, they all kind of came together as Swifties to make a difference and make like political change in their country. And that just shows like even if you're not saying anything, your influence just by what you preach can really make a difference. So what do you think would happen if she actually said something about this?
From what I know about her, and I used to actually be a really big fan, but she almost never speaks up about any political or global issue. I think the first time she's ever actually made her stance on something was
when it affected her.
When she was speaking about like the gay rights and stuff. That was the one time she actually spoke up about it. But other than that, like, she doesn't speak about anything politically. She doesn't even say what party she belongs to or what she supports. Like, nothing. She just like completely removes it. And I think her decision to do that was because as long as you can stay as neutral as possible, you can kind of cover the grounds for everybody, you know? The minute you state your stance and you say that I'm this, I think she fears like the loss of the fan support from whatever the opposite side is. Maybe. I don't know.
No, but then if she came out in support of gay rights, then wouldn't that technically lose her a large conservative audience, which I believe she built her initial like base off of? No,
like country fans.
Yeah, like country fans who are traditionally conservative.
I became a fan of her when she was like just starting out country, and I wouldn't say I'm a typical.
But I suspect that that's like even before you knew about her in her general area when she was coming up. I feel like a lot of those people maybe wouldn't support what she said initially, but maybe she saw that there was a bigger base if she did lean a certain way.
Yeah.
But I guess this would have to need a bigger base of support before she can actually make a statement like that, which does show that, you know, a lot of people are cowards. So
yeah, it's I'm not disagree with you there.
But that's not surprising in any way, right? A lot of people who do hold power are cowards for the most part, and they'll do whatever they can to continue holding that power. But that's just how, you know, the cookie crumbles. Now to, you know, kind of move on to other news that's been going on. News in my world. Well, sort of. So have you heard about what MrBeast recently did in Africa? Well, he did it in Kenya. He essentially built 100 wells
yes, I did
in
hear
Kenya,
about that.
right?
Yeah.
And this guy called it out too. He came out with a tweet. When he posted that video, he's like, watch them trying to cancel me for this. He posted a video, 100 wells. You know, we helped out 100 different communities, gave them water for multiple years going forward. And of course, the internet tried to cancel him again.
For what?
They're like, you know, this is a whole white savior complex. You don't know you don't know if you're ruining a lot of current initiatives that current activists are trying to work towards in these countries. It's like, come on, guys. Like,
you know what doesn't make sense to me?
Yeah.
People will fight and scream and beg for their biggest influencers to support whatever tragedy is going on in the world. And the minute they do support it, white savior complex. Who cares? He could have been black. Would you say something then?
See?
He could have been brown. He could have been Latino. He could have been Asian. But because he's white, all of a sudden, just because he did something good, it's a white savior complex. Get out of here.
And the thing is that a lot of people, it's because they don't know what he already does. Like,
I was gonna say, like, whoever's trying to cancel him probably doesn't know what his origins are, like the premise of his work.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing about the internet is that there's always going to be someone or a large group of people who are just getting introduced to this person. So like, because he did this before, he's helped the blind, he's helped people getting leg surgeries, and every time he does something, he comes out with a video like that, because he has a whole channel dedicated to this, so he's always going to get this. Every time he comes out with a video, there's always that group of people who are introduced to him and feel like, and come out with the same things. That's why he tweeted that before he posted the video, or when he posted the video, because he knew, like, it's like, here we go again, this is going to happen again. And it doesn't seem like there's any real solution to that, because the internet is so vast.
Yeah.
And because he's always going to a different community, that community is probably going to be introduced to him for the first time.
Who's calling him a white savior, though? Like, who's...
People on the internet, man.
I know, but is it like one specific group, or is it just like everybody?
I think it's just people who are too Twitter brained. Like they're just chronically on the. Well, there are also political activists in those countries like Kenya who are calling him out and saying like we've had initiatives for multiple years trying to accomplish these things, and this guy feels like he can come through and just do it all in one day. It's like, what are the long-term ramifications of this? Who's going to support this? How's this going to be? What's going to happen in the next 5 years with the infrastructure around this? It's like, okay, he built it. That whole statement, build it and they will come. So he built it for them. So if you feel like he basically did the groundwork for you guys. Now, if you feel like there's going to be issues in the next few years when it comes to infrastructure and supporting this, you can start there. You can start working on plans to how to keep this for a long-term situation. But they just attack the source of where that came from.
Maybe they're just upset because he has such a large following that when he put it online, obviously it went viral, and he was now known for building 100 wells.
Yeah, it's taking credit for their work.
That might be what it is.
And I would see that. It can be frustrating if you see someone who's done what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
In like 1 week, what you were trying to do for multiple years.
Yeah, definitely.
That would definitely be disheartening. But if your heart is in the right place and you just want to see better for your people, then you should be able to put your pride aside and then see like, okay, now how can we build on top of this? How can we keep the momentum going?
He's doing so many good things, man. May Allah guide him to Islam.
Yeah.
Imagine all those rewards.
But also for that statement of the whole white savior complex is the fact that like he's also done a lot in America that people don't know about. Like he has multiple food banks across America that he hasn't filmed. Like he's filmed one of them, but he has multiple of them that are just constantly running. They are getting sourced through his channel, and all the money he makes from that channel, which is specifically for philanthropy, goes towards supporting those food banks. And also there are, of course, donations coming in and everything. So there are things that he does do charity-wise that he doesn't film and doesn't come out with, which kind of not breaks down, but it kind of goes against that whole critique of like, oh, he's just doing this for the cameras and there's a whole white savior complex and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say like the true, what's the word? Like the sincere donation is done in secrecy, you know? Like I think if we're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt for filming a lot of the good things that he does, is it because he's trying to bring exposure to the struggles of these people so that more people would want to support them? Or is he trying to show like, hey, look at me, I'm rich and these are all the things that I'm doing to help the community? Like, you know what I mean? It's two different arguments, but if you're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, I would try and understand it like, okay, he helped this person or this community and he's trying to bring exposure to hopefully inspire other people to also continue to assist them, or people like them or in similar positions to that.
Yeah, definitely. So as long as people are benefiting at the end of the day, I'm all for it. Of course, there's a lot of like maybe political ramifications that might come from it that maybe we don't think about, but the people who initially benefited from this and now have a clean source of water, I don't think they really care about all that right now. As long as he continues to not let that stop him from going out and helping as many people as he can, then yeah, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to talk about here was that the actors' strike is finally over.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So like, did this really affect you? Do you feel like this has affected you in any way?
No, I don't have time to watch TV.
No, you guys have time to watch TV. Y'all have time to watch reality TV. Okay.
That's not me though.
Oh,
I don't watch Love Island, that show that comes on every single day. I've never watched an episode.
Y'all talk about that stuff all the time.
No, you say y'all. That's a generalization. Our friends talk about it. I sit there just as lost as you are. I don't watch that show.
You don't watch any reality shows?
No, I've watched them in the past, but I'm saying like since this strike has happened, it literally has not made a dent in my life. Like it has not changed it because I barely get to watch it now anyways.
Yeah.
So
I guess for a person who doesn't really watch TV shows and movies, like it doesn't really make a big difference because like it's not like, do you have anything you're anticipating from watching?
No.
See? So it's different, I guess, because I'm like
I saw a post about like Euphoria being postponed to like 2025.
Yeah.
And like I did watch those shows when they were like that show, when it was on. But it's not something that I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for it to come back on. I just saw it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So I guess this is just something that affects me more than anything. Because there's a lot of TV shows that I've been looking forward to. What?
You watch TV?
Movies mostly. Oh, okay. But there are like TV shows as well. But when I say TV, like TV is different these days, right?
Yeah, streaming, whatever.
Streaming, but even streaming is different. Where like I'm not waiting for a 24 episode show for the most part now. A lot of the shows that I watch are like maximum 6, 8, maybe even 10 if you're lucky episodes. So you're usually done with them within a couple hours or not a couple hours, a few hours. So it doesn't really take a lot of investment to get into these shows for the most part.
Yeah.
But it sucks when you watch 6 episodes of a show and you're like, see you in 5 years. Like I'll be married and have kids by the time the next season of the show comes out, which is probably going to be the case because it has delayed so much stuff.
But I was thinking about like Euphoria, and I think they already filmed that. I think is it season 3? Didn't they film that like 2 years ago or last year? And they're not gonna show it until 2 years later. Like
I don't know, because also they lost one of their main actors, right? I think his name was like August something. The guy who looks like Mac Miller. Unfortunately, they both passed away early.
Yeah. Oh
and from very similar reasons, actually.
Yes. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so he passed away, and they kind of did leave it very ambiguous on whether sort of ambiguous on whether or not he survived at the end of the season 2 finale.
I don't remember what happened. It's been so long.
Remember, I don't know if this is spoiler.
I doubt
yeah, well, I guess too late now, or it's really late now. But essentially, like someone ratted on them, on their house being them being drug dealers.
Yeah,
and the cops tried to come in and bust down their doors, and they started shooting. Well, the small kid started shooting back, and he ended up getting killed.
The little kid?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
You don't remember that? He like shot the cop and in the house, and they started shooting at everyone. And August was, I think his name was August. I can't remember his name now, but he was on the floor, and like I think he was shot in the stomach. So yeah, so there's a lot going on.
Okay.
And he was about to go to prom because he was wearing a suit. You don't remember all this?
No.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
I gotta watch it again.
Yeah. But you know what? None of that matters to you. Okay, the strike's over. Hopefully, we'll get our shows in the next 3 years.
3 years.
We'll see. You know, I'll be watching with my kid on my lap by the time they come out.
Are you trying to tell us something?
What, that I have
a child on the way?
A child on the way.
The next episode, it's like, Amir is a father.
If I don't have a child in the next 3 years, like I'm gonna be like, what's wrong with me? Okay.
It's not like you are giving birth.
What?
It's not like you are giving birth. So really, it's like if you don't have a wife by then.
Oh yeah, exactly. See, so
if I don't have a husband by then, y'all can fully attack me. Like I give you permission. In 3 years, if we're still doing this podcast, inshallah, y'all can bully me. Okay, you can literally bully me.
We'll dig deeper into that later. Okay, for now, we have a protest to get to, so we're gonna see y'all later.
Before we go,
what
I was gonna say, do you guys like our sweaters?
Oh yeah,
shout out to Hassan Fils.
Yeah, friend of the show, had him on before. Check out that episode. Back. Yeah, we might have him back. We'll see. But until then, we gotta go. So we'll see y'all later.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us and like this video and comment. We love you guys.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.